Thank you for tuning in today for another program of Glory Bound. We are here to share the gospel of Jesus Christ through the preaching of God's holy word and Christ-centered music. Our desire is to encourage and uplift those that need a special touch from our Savior. Join us now for another blessed program of Glory Bound.
Hello and welcome to Glory Bound. I'm Elaine Harding. I hope you're having a wonderful day today, because today is the day the Lord has made, and we ought to be rejoicing in it. Well, our special singer today is Aaron Roberts, and it's always a delight to have him with us. And he's going to start the program off with that song, Somebody Touched Me.
Many years he walked in darkness as he groped along the street, with his hands stretched out for pennies or for just a bite to eat. It's a story of a blind man who met Jesus on his way, but with the master's touch the man looked up as the scoffers heard him say, "Somebody touched me, somebody touched me. Well, I was blind, but praise his name, I now can see. I was in darkness when Jesus found me, but since he touched me, I now am free." One day he touched a crippled man, and he made him walk again. As the master saw with pleasure, he had labored not in vain. Like the story of that crippled man, I once was bound by sin, but since the master came, oh, praise his name. Thank God I now can say, somebody touched me, somebody touched me. Well, I was blind, but praise his name, I now can see. I was in darkness when Jesus found me, but since he touched me, I now am free. Somebody touched me, somebody touched me. Well, I was blind, but praise his name, I now can see. I was in darkness when Jesus found me, but since he touched me, I now am free. I was in darkness when Jesus found me, but since he touched me, thank God I'm free. Thank God I'm free.
Wow, did that touch you? It touched me. What a song. Thank you, Aaron. Well, let me give you a thought for today. I think this is a good one. Think about it. Let God have your life, because he can do more with it than you. Think about that. Give your life to God. He will take care of you. Well, Aaron is coming back and he's going to be singing that old song that everybody loves, Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieve. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've known less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Beautiful, beautifully done. You know, that's to sing a cappella. Not everyone can do that, but boy, what a beautiful job. Thank you, Aaron. Today, we have with us a fairly new staff member here at Hillcrest Baptist Church. Him and his wife and baby girl joined us. I believe it was last June.
Pretty much. We came in May, but it was just like a couple of days left.
Okay. This is Christian Fuesler. He is the teen pastor here at Hillcrest. So we're delighted. We're going to talk with him about his ministry here. We're going to talk about the program he has for teenagers. And, you know, if you've got teenagers, I want to encourage you, let's get them back into church. Okay? So, Christian, it's good to have you with us today.
It's good to be here.
And we're going to do some background checking on Christian. You know, we're going to start with his testimony when he came to know the Lord. And then we'll talk about how he got into this ministry of ministering to teenagers. That's a tough ministry today, really tough. So, Christian, how old were you when you got saved?
I was 17 years old. It was actually November of 2017 when I finally realized my need for a Savior, and I truly accepted Jesus into my life at that time.
So you were a teenager yourself
I
when
was
you
a
got
teenager
saved.
myself, yes.
Okay. So then you got, well, you're not that old. You're a young whippersnapper here,
yeah.
you know, compared to me anyway.
Yeah.
So when did you feel called into the ministry?
So it's actually kind of been something that was on my mind for a while. I always knew I had a purpose on this earth. When I realized my call to ministry, specifically youth ministry, it was actually at our teen camp in 2019 with Hillcrest. More on that in a little bit, but there was a group from the college that I still attend online. They're the rec team that they have. I was talking with them, and they encouraged me to finally reach out and just apply. And this is Baptist Bible College that I'm talking about. They helped me take the first steps, and I could talk on this all day, but to make a long story short, it's kind of full circle. Hillcrest helped me realize that I need to do things for the Lord here, and now I'm here making that happen with Hillcrest.
Baptist Bible College, is that the one in Missouri?
Yeah, Springfield,
Missouri.
Missouri.
Because there are two of them, one in Pennsylvania and then one in Missouri.
Springfield, Missouri.
Okay. Familiar with that college.
Yes.
It just kind of left me here. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Connersville, good old Connersville, Indiana.
So you're close by. You're
yes.
kind of right at home here.
Yes, pretty much. I mean, we'd come up to Richmond all the time, doing some shopping and getting the new things for stuff we built at the house, home projects and stuff. A lot of Menards visits. So,
everybody likes Menards.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you're young. You're very young, and so you can relate probably more to these teenagers than I can. I mean, and it's just a different world today, a different generation. So, what challenges are you facing with teenagers today? And has it really changed that much since you were a teenager? You're in your 20s, so it's not been that long. So is there a lot of changes or not?
I can honestly say that what I deal with now as the youth pastor and what I dealt with back when I was a teenager, now there's pretty much no difference. And I didn't have some of the same struggles that some of these teenagers have, but now I did have my own, and I have seen a couple of kids come through the group where they remind me of me because of some of the things that they're going through and some of the things they deal with. I'm actually going through a series right now on Wednesday nights, and I simply titled it Mental Health because that is a huge problem, and that's a kind of umbrella problem. A lot of things fall under that they deal with. We could talk all day about that. And then, again, it just kind of depends on the dynamic because we do have kids or teens that come more often than others. So, like teens whose parents also attend church versus teens that only come in on the bus. I mean, they just have different backgrounds. So with different backgrounds becomes different problems. Things that they deal with are different too.
Mental health.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because if we go back to when we were teenagers, we didn't think about mental health. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, we didn't face the things these teens are facing today. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and elaborate a little bit more on that.
So, what I'm going to do with this, and I started it just a few days ago. I started with anxiety, or worrying in general. I kind of started with the lesson with that term, but then said, well, you're pretty much just what that boils down to is worrying. I'm going to spend probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 weeks on different things. I haven't got it planned out, and that's something I need to work on. But things that will happen, what I will end up talking about, are something that teenagers deal with a lot nowadays is being depressed. Whether or not, well, let me start that over. How severe it is depends on the situation that they are in. And like I said, different backgrounds, different dynamics, things bring different challenges. I'm particularly excited for that one because, and I think I'm going to end it on that, because it's a huge one that a lot of the teens in my group do deal with. They have come to me and said that.
Depression.
Yes. Or just social anxiety, stuff like that. And like I said, it's an umbrella problem. All that kind of just things follow. Whenever one of them has come to Madison or I and said, okay, I'm dealing with this, a lot of issues come with that. So that's why I'm excited. Well, I'm not excited for their problems, but I am excited to finally deal with that and see what the scripture says about that. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. What would you say is the most common, what do I want to say, not motive, but that's causing this depression in young kids? Kids today, hey, this should be the best time of your life. I understand out there we got this new woke,
Right.
which is causing a lot of problems.
It is causing a lot of problems, and I think that the term wokeness comes with teenagers trying to find a place to fit in society. And whether you're one of the people that is kind of driving that narrative, or you're a person that is trying to just kind of fit in and join that, either way, that's people trying to find their place in society. And I've been encouraging the group with, if anything doesn't end with Jesus Christ at the end of the path, then that's a path that ends in disappointment and misery and empty promises. And disappointment, misery, and empty promises are all things that lead to this mental health state that they're in. So that's why I thought it was important to start. Like I said, I am excited to see how many teens actually respond, because I've been doing these series that are part of the curriculum that I follow, and I get some response, but now I haven't gotten as much response or feedback or participation in the discussion as I have when I started that mental series. So many questions came, and people were even asking. I got a question from a young man who asked me, well, if God can see all of our problems, why do we need to pray to him? And we got to, and that's just, I've never gotten a question like that. So that's why I believe that this is already going to be a big thing, because I have never, not one time, and since May, have I gotten a question like that in the middle of a lesson.
And I want to tell you, it's not the young people are just asking that, because we have it in adults. Well, if God knows and sees all this, and he knows why do we need to pray, about it? Mm-hmm. So it's not just teenagers that ask those questions.
All right.
Yeah.
No, but I do realize that adults do. While they are finding their place in society, it's important to ask questions like that, because that means they're at least thinking about it. And if I haven't been challenging them with moving out of their comfort zone, which I think is another thing that ruins a lot of things for them, if I haven't challenged them to get out of that and follow and pursue that life with Jesus, then what am I doing? If someone isn't asking me those kinds of questions or showing that kind of interest, then that's one of the areas that I have failed in. So I want them to pursue that Jesus.
What do you think is what is the strongest hold regarding depression in young people today? Is it peer pressure? At school, I can't remember back in high school that we had peer pressure, I guess, like they do today. And then I look at adults or teachers. How much help are they getting there? So what is really driving it? What would you say the number one thing is driving it?
I would say, you mentioned peer pressure. I would venture a little bit further, and those things, the fitting into society and peer pressure, those things go hand in hand. I mentioned the wanting to find a purpose or a place in society, and And if that place in society is with Jesus, then that ends in disappointment. And those attempts at finding places in society take many different forms. You might fit in with the wrong crowd, or you might fit in better with a crowd that's not necessarily focused on your spiritual health. And then, all those situations never end well at all. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I think, and broken homes today.
Broken homes, yeah.
That's another thing. It seems like it's the norm anymore. If you find a family that's been together and worship together, even eat together, they don't do that anymore. I mean, these young families, one's going here, one's going there, and the kids are left. And, I can get on a rant too, because it's like they don't sit down for dinner together.
They don't. I think that's such a valuable
and that's one thing we always did with our kids. Well, we'd have dinner, and then it was like, okay, now we got to have, we had a Bible time, just, if it's only 5 minutes before they could get out there and go to whatever they were going to. But it was just a norm for us. Today, they don't have that. You just don't see people sitting down. It's dinner. Everybody sit down at the table. And that is so important.
I think so, too. And you mentioned broken homes, and that is absolutely a huge problem that is in not just this youth group, but all over the world even.
Right.
A lot of things start at home. I was talking with my friend recently. We were talking about the idea that home is also kind of church, and the parents are leaders of that, and they spend more time at home, or as far as home versus church, they spend a lot more time at home. And that's where you're going to get a lot of the spiritual guidance that you would need. And if the parents aren't doing that, or whoever the guardian is of the home isn't doing that, then the teenagers are left to find their own way. And especially teenagers who aren't experienced enough in life, don't know how to find their own way, and they're just kind of left up to chance.
So they're just wandering.
And they find the first thing that makes them feel good. They latch onto that, and it ends in disappointment, and then here we go. It's a domino effect after that. Disappointment after disappointment, poor situation after another. It's never good. So it starts at home, a lot of it.
So, what is your goal for the teen department here at Hillcrest?
My goal for the teen department here at Hillcrest is just, I want a group of teenagers that's so hungry for the Lord that it spills over into the community of Richmond, and we have a few from Centerville, even some Hagerstown. I like to use the term ripple effect. I want such spiritual leaders in these schools, so well-off spiritual leaders, that it just makes people ask those questions that I mentioned earlier, and they like, oh, what is that? I want that, because it is a matter of what seems more appealing. And if we can get these teenagers or some spiritual leaders in these schools that are so devout in their faith and trust in Jesus that it spills over, I want it to be more attractive than the things that the world offers, and more attractive than disappointment and misery. So I'm doing my absolute best, and I believe that's why God called my family here, is to help make sure that happens. Because it is I would say, as soon as they hit those teenage years, a lot of big decisions have to be made. That's when you start kind of getting prepared for the rest of your life. So it's important where you spend that time, and it's important what values are instilled in you and what beliefs are instilled. And I believe youth group is a place that happens. And I want to make a fun for them too. We have events and stuff. But the main thing, of course, is making sure they know Jesus. And that's why I think that it's important that they ask those questions, like, if God can hear us, why do we need to pray? It opens up a whole world of possibilities. Mm-hmm. So
now, you meet on a Sunday morning.
Yes.
With teens.
Sunday morning.
9:30.
9:30.
And then you meet Wednesday evenings at 6:30.
Yes.
And so Wednesday evening, you do a Bible study?
So, Bible study. We actually have the Bible study on Sundays at 6:30 as well.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm sorry. Yeah,
you're right.
Okay.
No. But we on Wednesdays they come in, snacks, game time. We sing a worship song or two.
That should bring some kids in.
Yeah, we should bring some kids in. We're working on getting lots of big things planned for that. Like, we have a volleyball net that we want to set up and have a lot of fun with. We have a staff that just pours into them, and honestly, we have 40 kids come out and if it was just Madison and I, we'd be overwhelmed and swarmed all the time. So we have a staff that helps us there. Just after the lesson, we come in, announcements, songs, worship songs, and the lesson time. Spend 25 minutes on that, and that's where we get into the Word and get into the spiritual stuff, basically. So.
Right. Great. Okay. We only have very few minutes left. What would you say to the parents?
The one thing that I want to say to the parents is get your teenagers in church. It is absolutely so important that is a priority, even if you don't come, which we encourage that too, of course. They are making such big decisions, and it's such a time of influence in their lives. It's so imperative that your teens are in church. Instead of letting the world influence what they think and what they say and what they want to fit into, let church do that. We're at Hillcrest. We're open 3 times a week, but those are the scheduled hours. But I'm always available, and to just reach out and say, "Hey, I'm praying for you. We're praying for you. Is there anything you need?" But the main thing is get them in church, because it helped me as a teenager facing these issues, and I'm barely older than that. I'm 23. It's not been too long, but getting in church, there's so many jokes that people make about that. But no, just get them in church. We would love to have them. It's so important that they happen. So.
You're exactly right. That's where they need to be. Really, they need to be in church. So parents, let me encourage you. If you have teenagers, if you have children, even grade school, you know what? They need to get into church and learn about the Lord. It will touch their lives in some way, and grow them up in that, in knowing God. Let me encourage you, especially right now, this is for the teens. Get your teenagers here. Sunday mornings at 9:30, Christian meets with them over in the gym. Sunday evening at 6:30, he's got a program going for them in the Life Center also.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday evening at 6:30, they get snacks, they have games, they got Bible study. Bring your teens. Let me encourage you, bring your teens out. And there's classes for the parents as well. Thank you, Christian. It was great talking with you. And until next week, bye.
Thank you for watching Glory Bound. We hope you have enjoyed our program. If you have made any decision for Christ today or have any special prayer requests or questions, please contact us at 765-935-1435 or email us at hbcglorybound@gmail.com.